Do you ever wish that you could replay Elden Ring, but get through it in 10 hours rather than 100? Do you ever wish that you could know exactly what items you need and where to get them? And do you wish that you could completely bully all of the bosses without any summons or any farming, even if you're not that good at the game? If so, this might be the video for you. Hey guys, Thingfishy here. So make your character look suitably wizardy, choose the astrologer class and grab yourself a golden seed. Now while we're running to get Torrent, let me explain a few things about this guide. This is my first Elden Ring build guide, a step-by-step walkthrough of the entire game from credits to credits. For those of you who want to try out new builds, but don't want to spend hours on the wiki working out the best equipment and where and how to get all of it. Also a word about levels. I finished this video at level 125 with 66 int, 20 mind and 55 vigor, with everything else being base stats for the astrologer class. Now how exactly we get there is up to you. While I'll be explaining every level up I do, feel free to adjust this to your taste. If you want to go for a little bit more health and a bit less damage, be my guest. But as you'll see, the amount of damage we'll be putting out means that some bosses won't have much time to hit us at all. This int build, utilising only a couple of spells, is definitely the most powerful build I've made in Elden Ring. So it's certainly one I'd recommend to players trying their first no summons run. If you find this guide useful and want to see more Elden Ring build guides, give it a like and subscribe to my channel. If you'd like to come hang out and watch me figure out all this stuff live, give me a follow on Twitch. So we're at Torrent now, let's do it. So first we're going to head south from the gate front, grabbing the map and the wet blade as we go, and heading all the way through Limgrave all the way to Weeping Peninsula. We're doing this to stock up on flask upgrades, as they're going to be particularly important on this playthrough. Pick up the Stone Sword key on the bridge, then grab the Morning Star from the carriage just afterwards, and keep heading south to the Castle Morn Rampart Grace. Now here's a cool little trick. Head towards Castle Morn hugging the right cliff, jump down for the seed, then backtrack for the map. For some reason hugging that cliff prevents the giant from seeing you, allowing you to grab the seed and the map without having to dodge giant arrows. Now head north from the Grace, hugging the cliff to the left, across the bridge and up the hill towards the Church of Pilgrimage for our first sacred tier. Now head southwest to the first church of Marika in the distance for another. From here head southwest to the merchant shack, grab the Grace, then head east to loot a graveyard for runes that will become important later. Now walk back to the Castle Morn Rampart. Now finally head west up to the hill to the Carlu Baptismal Church for one more tier. Then you can walk back to the gate front. Head up the hill, grab the golden seed on the way and grab the Storm Hill Grace. From here head northeast through the forest until you see this ridge. Go on top of it, then jump down and grab the lance. Then continues to the Saints Bridge Grace. Cross the bridge keeping left to avoid the... Okay, cross the bridge keeping well away from the Pumpkinhead, then follow the road east until you find the Summon Water Village Grace. Keep heading east, jumping down the cliffs, looting these graves, then descending the Spirit Spring to the third church of Marika. Grab the Sacred Tear and the Physic, then head south. Grab the map in the Mistwood and follow the road south until you reach Fort Height. Pick up the golden seed out front, then head into the castle, running straight up to the roof for the first half of the Dectus Medallion. Now ride southwest of the castle to loot another graveyard before making a mark on this little circular structure on your map. Ride through the Mistwood to this building and descend into the Blackreach. Ride through the first area, keeping left to avoid all of the fighting. Take the golden rune from this corpse on the stairs before jumping on another lift. When you get to this archer area, keep riding northeast until you see this fallen pillar. Head up it and use the teleporter at the top. Follow the cliff round to the waterfall, keeping well away from the Dragonkin soldier. Head under the waterfall to grab Marika's Scar Seal, a talisman that we're going to be using to boost our sorcery stats in the early game. Now walk back to the third church in Limgrave. Head round the back of the church and use the teleporter in the river to take us to Caelid. Ride south from the Bestial Sanctum, picking up this golden seed along the way. Across the bridge and then jump down to the left. Loot this graveyard, then jump down the Spirit Spring to Len's Rise Grace. Use the Spirit Spring to jump into the building to grab an extra memory stone that we'll need much later. Now up the Spirit Spring again, west towards the Minor Erd Tree, and up the Spirit Spring behind that. Grab the Grace outside Fort Fareth, then head inside. Up the ladder to the second half of the Dectus Medallion, then jump down the second hole here. Grab the Golden Rune 12 by the rats, then jump across and down for Radagon's Sword Seal. Let the rats kill you, then head around the big dragon and west towards the Divine Tower. First head down the road to the right for the Somber 9 stone, then back up and round for the Scarab carrying the Somber 8 stone. Then head west towards the Merchant Shack. From here, walk back to Fareth. Jump down the Spirit Spring to its south, then grab the Sacred Tear and Grace inside the Church of the Plague. Now here's another cool little trick. To get to Celia, you're either supposed to approach from the south, or go down the path with all of the rolling balls. If you don't fancy either, head south of the Church of the Plague and...
Hey, you! Finally awake.
Go into Celia town, riding straight through and up the stairs to get the golden seed. Then jump across the rooftops to light the 3 towers. Once the towers are lit, grab the loot. And also pick up the Staff of Loss from this balcony. Ignore the very advanced fashion, I came back much later for this. Head south from Celia, following the road across South Caelid. Pick up the map and head to the Grace by the swamp shore. From this Grace, hug the left wall into the lake and pick up the Meteorite Staff from the corpse on this building. The Meteorite Staff is unupgradable, but it has very high scaling and boosts gravity sorceries. Despite not being able to upgrade it, this is actually going to be our main weapon until we get to Mountaintops of the Giants. From here, go northeast to the nearby ruins to pick up the Rocksling spell. And finally, from where you got the map, head down towards Castle Redmane, picking up the Golden Seed on the way and lighting the Grace the other side of the bridge. Now head back to the Argyll Lake South Grace. Upgrade your flask, then head northeast for some more grave robbing, then head south towards the enemy camp. Run straight through it and up onto the ruins to grab the Royal House Scroll, then north to the Waypoint Ruins to kill the Pumpkinhead boss. Pop the Golden Rune 12 that you picked up in Caelid, then buy the Carian Slicer spell from Selen. Memorise both this and Rocksling, they're going to carry us for the entire game. Now fast travel back to the first step. Go behind the building, jump down the Spirit Spring and grab the Golden Pickled Foulfoot, then jump back up. Now warp to Fort Fareth. Equip the Morning Star in your right hand and the Radagon Sword Seal to meet its requirements. Then start hacking away at Grail. This will take a couple of minutes, but it's a great way to get a build up and running. Killing Grail like this gives you less levels than you'd get by killing all the bosses in Limgrave, but it also takes far less time. Equip the Foulfoot while you're doing this and pop it just as Grail dies. Don't panic, you have a good few seconds to do this. Use the runes you have to level up to 15 Vigour, 20 Mind and 35 Int. And that's our setup done. While this is a very long and complicated setup, it only takes around an hour in real time. Right, time to fight some bosses. For Margit, equip your Meteorite Staff and Carian Slicer. Parry, 2 slicers, parry again, 3 slicers. As you can see, the damage is already pretty insane, but it's going to get much, much better. Level up another point of Int, tell Gostock you're going in the front, let him open the gate, then kill him so you can buy the buckler. Head through Stormveil Castle all the way to the secluded cell, making sure you dodge all of the arrows perfectly. Now let me show you something cool for Godric's fight. When you cast Rock Sling from your right hand, the rocks have a limited distance and will fall before hitting distant enemies. But swap the staff over to your left hand and... Yep, for some reason when casting from the offhand, 2 of the rocks have almost infinite range. You can use this to kite Godric around the arena and not get near him once. Or get stuck in with Carian Slicer if you're more confident with dodging him. Either way, he's not going to last long. Stick another 2 points in Int, then head to Liurnia. Grab the Sacred Tear at the Church of Iridith, then head all the way down to the Academy Gate Town, picking up the map and graces along the way. Grab the other map and the Golden Seed in the Gate Town, then head east to the Divine Tower. Head inside the Divine Tower, dodging all of the sorcery spammers, up the stairs and pick up the Carian Glintstone Staff. This staff will give Carian Slicer a major damage boost, so we're going to keep it in our main hand whilst attacking with the Meteorite Staff in our left hand. Head back to the Gate Town and up towards Raya Lucaria. Grab the Grace out front, then jump down to loot the graves nearby. These are the 2 that you want. Head north and grab the Academy key behind the dragon, then continue up the map to the Grace by Iji. Jump down the cliffs from these ruins and hug the cliff on your left as you travel north. This will bring you to the Intelligence Knot Physic. Then head south to grab the Somber 3 by the cliffs. Up the Spirit Spring for the Bellum Highway Grace. From here you can loot the nearby churches for some more Sacred Tears. Now time for Raya Lucaria. Upgrade all of your flasks by the entrance and jump on the elevator. Now just to confirm our setup, the Meteorite Staff is our main weapon, which boosts Rock Sling. But by having the Carian Staff equipped in our right hand, we also get a boost on Slicer. Always attack with the offhand though, as the Meteorite Staff has better scaling. Run through the Academy, making sure to pick up the Carian Knight Armour. This set has great defense and is a no-brainer if you're looking for some extra tankiness. Grab the Schoolhouse Classroom Grace, then head up towards Red Wolf. Just before you get to his room, hit the illusionary wall to the left and follow the path to the Graven School Talisman. Equip this alongside Marika's Scar Seal for a boost to stats and damage. Now time for Red Wolf. Start spamming your extended range Rock Sling as soon as you're in the room. A few of these is all it will take. Again, feel free to get stuck in with Slicer if you'd prefer. Use the points from Wolf to get you to 39 Int. Now time for a trip across the rooftops. Head all the way across before jumping down the wooden scaffolding and killing this scarab for the Glintstone Twin Sage crown. This crown grants 6 more points of Int, but it also decreases your health, so we have to pick our moments. Stick this on and head to Rennala. So we're heading into Rennala with the following stats, with Int being boosted by a further 10 with the Physic. For the Rennala fight, punch the Sweetings with an empty hand to stop them respawning all over the place. Then hit Rennala with Rock Sling. Slicer is completely useless here. Rennala has ridiculous magic resistance, so don't even try it. Drink your Physic before you cast the final spell and regain your FP for Phase 2. Phase 2 is all about picking your moments to attack. dodge her projectile attacks and cast Rock Sling to punish. You should have more than enough FP to kill her, but if you miss a lot of spells like I did, you can always finish her off with a melee weapon. Use the runes you get to take you to 17 Vigour and 40 Int, then head back to the round table. Grab the extra talisman pouch from Enya, then pop enough runes to buy Renala's garb and her hat, which boosts your intelligence by 3. Now we're going to backtrack a little bit, head back to the Saint's Bridge Grace, jump down into the river and head to the High Road Cave. Destroy the Guardian Golem boss with the Carian Slicer to get the Blue Dancer charm. This gives us the option of having 2 loadouts, the sensible defensive option with Renala's hat increasing in a little and her garb or the Carian Knight's armour increasing defence, or a glass cannon light load option with the Blue Dancer charm boosting Rock Sling and the Twin Sage Crown boosting in massively. Head up to Karia Manor and grab the Grace before warping all the way to the start of Liurnia. Our next destination is the Minor Erdtree in the northeast of Liurnia. Kill the Erdtree avatar here with the Rock Sling and equip the Magic Shrouding Crystal Tear to your physic for yet another damage boost. Head back to Karia Manor and use Rock Sling to make light work of Loretta. Then go talk to Rani. Now this part is a little complicated, but trust me, it's worth it. Go talk to Celavis. He'll give you the potion for Nefeli. Head back to the round table and speak to Gideon until he takes the potion from you. Head back to Rani's Rise and go check out Celavis's creepy puppet dungeon. Go speak to him and ask him about it. At this point, he'll offer you a puppet. We have to get both of these and the first one is free, so take everyone's favourite Malenia slaying legend, as he's obviously the more expensive option. Now head to the Altus Plateau. From the Lift of Dectus, head northeast picking up the Golden Seed and Grace along the way, until you get to this little valley. Jump down and grab the Amber Starlight in front of the statue. Now walk back to Weeping Peninsula Castle Morn Rampart Grace, up the Spirit Spring to the Starlight Shards. Then head to the South Argyle Lake Grace, up the spring to more Starlight Shards. Now head back to Celavis and pop all of the runes we've been collecting from the start to buy all of his spells. When you've done this, he'll offer you another puppet. Use the Starlight Shards we've picked up to buy the other. At this point, he'll finally give you the Magic Scorpion charm, which gives a big boost to sorcery. Equip this and don't take it off for the rest of the game. Now warp all the way back to Len's Rise in Caelid. Attack the Knight's Cavalry here and lure him round to this spot. Crouch out onto the ledge and wait for him to yeet himself off the cliff. It doesn't matter if you die while doing this, just get your runes afterwards. Equip the Ash of War he gets to any weapon you have, then head back to the Church of the Plague. Run down the Rolly Ball Hill and grab this Grace just in case. Jump over the Celia balcony and head into this boss fight. The Nox duo don't stand a chance against your Rock Sling, so just spam them to death and grab the last weapon we're going to pick up in this run. The Lusat Staff is incredibly good for the late game, but it's not as good as Meteorite Staff for now, so don't equip it until I say. Ignore the fact that I do, I'm an idiot. Now this is a point in the game where you might want a few extra levels of int, so feel free to abuse your infinite range Rock Sling to kill some mini bosses in the overworld. Your health is incredibly low, but there's one way to ensure that absolutely nothing can hit you. No, seriously, you have no health at this point, so please be careful. Also, Bloodhound Step got nerfed. Other good options for overworld bosses are the Knight's Cavalry in Altus and the Wormface, both of which can be killed easily with Rock Sling on horseback. Use all of the runes to level up your int. I know you might want to put them towards your health, but trust me. Now head into Leyndell. For the Draconic Tree Sentinel, please pretend this is the Altus one, because it's the only boss in the game that I forgot to capture footage of. Get naked, Twin Sage Crown, and spam Rock Sling at a distance. This will easily get you to phase 2, at which point it's safer to get up close and personal with Slicer. Head into the city and jump down the buildings of the capital from this ledge. Okay, so go the intended way until you reach this avatar. Run straight past him and grab the Grace. Go back, buff up, and then destroy him with Slicer. Pop the Lord's rune that he drops. Now, you remember I said trust me on your health? It's finally time to level it up, so use the 123k you should now have on you to level up your health to 27. Now it's time for Godfrey. Rocksling does decent damage here, but it's very risky with his moveset as he can close the distance real quick. Slicer is far more comfy. For the most chilled fight possible, just do one Slicer after every roll, but 2 or 3 can work depending on the attack. Head up to the Queen's bedchamber and destroy the Black Knife Assassin before he can even stand up. You don't need his runes or anything, it's just fun. I hate these enemies. Level up your INT to 46, and if you're like me and hate wasting runes, kill a couple of random enemies to round up the remaining runes to another level for 47 INT. Now we're going to head back to the Everjail right by the Grand Lift, bully this silly reskin with Karia and Slicer, and grab the Godfrey Talisman, which boosts charged attacks. Now for Morgott. Get naked, Twin Sage on, walk into the arena and start spamming Rocksling while he runs at you. 3 to stagger, 6 to phase 2. Run to the other end of the arena while he transforms, then repeat the process. While it's not the most satisfying way of beating Morgott, and Karia and Slicer is way more fun, this gets the job done without almost any risk. Use his runes to take you to 29 Vig and 50 INT. Now head to the Mountaintops of the Giants. Ride through the Zamor ruins and loop back on yourself to kill this scarab hanging from the tree. This is the last stone we need to level Lusat's staff up to +9. This is the time to swap to it as our main weapon. I actually did this upgrade a little later in my run, so your damage for the next few bosses will be higher than mine. So here's our new setup. We cast with Lusat's staff in our left hand and boost each spell by having either the Carian or the Meteorite staff in our right. If you're using Slicer, main hand the Carian staff. If you're using Rocksling, main hand the Meteorite. Now it's time to head back to Redmane Castle for the big guy. As soon as you spawn in the arena, ride backwards to despawn him and skip the first part of the fight. For the rest of the fight, just pick your moments and use the downtime to attack him with Karia and Slicer. It does more than enough damage to get him to 30% health before phase 2 even starts. Repeat for phase 2 and he's down. Now we're going to head down into Nokron. Bully your unarmed self by only equipping your weapons once he's spawned. Now ride out into the Ancestral Woods. Head down into Nokron and grab the Fingerslayer Blade. Then light the fires in the woods so you can fight the Regal Ancestor Spirit. You can use Rocksling from a distance or Slicer him, but either way he's going down pretty easy. Now for the best boss of all time. Happily, spamming Rocksling from a distance works great here, and while I felt some guilt for kiting some of the bosses in this video, for these two, I was perfectly happy with it. Grab the Grace in Deeproot and use the runes that you have to level to 54 INT. Now let's backtrack for Godskin Noble. If you want to have a bit of fun here, you can main hand your buckler for some cool looking right hand parries. With Karia and Slicer, he won't last long at all. Now for Rykard. At the Grace before the fight, swap out one of your physic tiers for the Strength Not tier. Walk into the room and grab Serpent Hunter. Now equip the lance that we picked up in Limgrave in your right hand and equip Serpent Hunter in your left. And finally, get naked. The dual-wielding Great Spear moveset gives you a crouching poke attack that you can spam infinitely for incredibly high DPS. Crouch L1 him continuously for both phases. 6 hits will stagger, and you'll only have to worry about dodging a couple of the attacks. Use his runes to further upgrade your INT. Now head back to Rani and grab the Carian inverted statue. Head over to the Divine Tower, parkour down to the lift, then up to the top to grab the curse mark of death. Head back to Rani's Rise for the final time and use the teleporter to take you to Ainzel River, making sure that you pick up the miniature Rani statue and exhaust its dialogue at one of the Graces. Spam Rocksling at the Baleful Shadow to kill him before he even gets near you. Then head out to the Lake of Rock. Level up to 59 in and make sure you have at least 3 blue flasks. Spam Bloodhound Step through the lake. Now I know Bloodhound Step has been nerfed since I recorded this, but if you equip a shield without an Ash of War fitted to it, and block between each step so you still get the extended range version, this is still viable. Or you can just do it the intended way. Jump in the coffin at the end of the area and head to Estelle. For this boss we can once again abuse the infinite range Rocksling, keeping our distance and only really having to dodge the ranged attacks. Take your int to 61 and head back to the mountaintops for Fire Giant. Now prepare yourself for the easiest Fire Giant phase 1 in Elden Ring. You won't believe how much we're about to bully him. Jump off Torrent to dodge the ice wave, then head over to Jump off Torrent to avoid the ice wave and start hitting his left foot for a whopping 17,000 damage in one combo. Chase him when he rolls and hit his heel for an easy phase 1. For phase 2, just stay in front of him and cast Rocksling. The distance will keep you safe from most of his attacks, and you can use Torrent to open a gap if you need to. Use his runes to get to 35 Vigour, burn the Erd Tree and head off to Farum Azula. Make your way through Farum Azula all the way to the Dragon Temple Grace. Jump down and go under to get to the Grace right next to the Duos Arena. Now at this point, if you fancy doing a Godskin Duo parry fight with Karia and Slicer, knock yourself out. It's really fun. I actually really enjoy doing no cheese duo fights. However, if you don't feel like torturing yourself, head back to the secluded cell in Stormveil Castle and grab the cracked pots near the pot friends. Then walk back to the start of the game and buy more from Caelid at the Church of Allah. Warp to the village of the Albinurics and grab the nearby mushrooms, the other half of the Haligtree medallion, and then head down into the swamp below to this big tree and pick up all of the Centrina's lilies lying around it. Go back to the Godskin Grace and make some sleep pots. Sleep both of them, then wail on them with Slicer. Their hitbox is still active even if they die, so don't stop swinging until the damage stops registering. Make your way through the rest of Farum Azula. While Bloodstep isn't quite as viable, you can still use it with a little block in between or utilise the new patch 106 light rolls to make it through this area safely. Light the Beside the Great Bridge Grace and head up towards Maliketh. You know what to do with the Sentinel. Rock spam the first phase and then Slicer for the second. For Clergyman and Maliketh, there really isn't much of a safe strat here. You just have to dodge their attacks and Slicer them in between. If you're not confident with this fight, check out my video on how to dodge all of their attacks. Your damage is really good, so this fight should be far easier than normal, but there's no cool strat here. When you reach the Ashen Capital, head straight up to Gideon, run straight up to him and give him a taste of his all-spamming medicine. Then head to a boss that's actually good. The rule for Godfrey is to stick to 1 Slicer per dodge if you want to be safe, and up to 2 to 3 if you're more comfortable fighting him. For Hoaraloo, the strat is just to bide your time. Only do one hit when you're certain it's safe. Don't worry that you're not depleting his health that much because we're waiting for one specific attack. When he begins his stomp attack, get right up close, dodge the stomp, do one slicer, dodge the shockwave, and then spam Carian. With the amount of damage we're doing here, we can pretty much do his whole health bar in just this one attack. Now for Radagon. Get 4 slicers in at the start, and then punish all of his cooldown animations. The ones after his jump slam and the triple slam are long enough to do 30% of his health on each. For Elden Beast, you want to focus on punishing only a couple of attacks. The Fire Breath provides a big opportunity for slicer damage, as do any of his sword attacks. Wait for these and punish for a very easy fight. Now before we get to the credits, there's some cleaning up to do. So now we head to Castle Sol, run into Niall's arena and spam Slicer to kill the dual wielding knight. Then take care of the other one. For Niall, half of the fight is dependent on one single dodge. When he does this huge charging attack, dodge it instead of parrying and use this massive recovery animation to deplete over half of his health with Slicer in one single attack. After that, parry him and use Slicer 5 times. 3 of these is all you need for victory. Head back to the Grand Lift of Rold, hoist the secret medallion to take you to the consecrated snowfield. Make your way to Ordina Town and light the fires in the jail. I like to do the invisible assassin one first. Quit out to reset the area, then do the tower one by the ladder. As you can see, I'm using Bloodhound Step to get past the archers, but the new light equip load roll works too. Then finally, get the easy one last. If you don't feel like doing any of this, jump onto the pillar beside the fog wall and line up your compass with the right side of this notch. From here, jump 2 times with the direction input being 12 o'clock for the first and then 7 o'clock for the second. This still works on current patch 1.06, but I'll post in the comments if it gets patched at a later date. Make your way through the Halig tree until you get to Knight Loretta. While spamming Rock Sling is fine for the opening, you want to do the rest with Slicer as she has many projectiles for her own, but she goes down pretty easy. Level up to 64 INT to finally hit the soft cap for damage. Make your way through Elfile, picking up the Ancient Somber Stone along the way. This will allow you to finally get a +10 Lusat staff. Head all the way to Malenia and light the grace outside her room. But before we fight her, we have a few more things to do. Walk back to Farum Azula and head to Placidusax. This is another Carian Slicer fight. Just wail on him when it's safe and keep dodging his attacks. Slicer will deplete his massive health pool very fast. Keep yourself at full health throughout the fight so that you can survive one hit from the laser attack. I still have no idea how to dodge this. Now for Fortisax. Carian Slicer will make short work of Fia's champions, exhaust Fia's dialogue while resting each time, then use Carian Slicer to make light work of Fortisax. You can stay in front of him and go for the head, but you're doing enough damage here that just standing under him and hitting his feet is a completely effective strategy. When he's done, we're going to head back to Altus to the second church of Marika. Kill Eleonora to get the purifying crystal tear. Then head back to Ordina Town and head west. Jump off this ledge to cheese the invader. Then use the teleporter to warp to Mohgwyn's palace. Ride through hell up to the midpoint grace. Then use any runes or remembrances you still have to invest in your health. Then equip the purifying crystal tear to your physic. Walk into Mohg's arena and start spamming Rocksling. You'll easily get him to phase 2 without him getting anywhere near you. Spam it after Nihil to get a stagger, then use that time to open up the distance between you. For phase 2 you have to be a lot more careful, but keep your distance and cast Rocksling when it's safe for a very easy Mohg fight. And now we arrive at the final fight. Now it's time for Malenia. Now, right from the start of this guide, I knew Malenia would be a problem. She is on every playthrough, but especially so here because our best weapon, Carian Slicer, doesn't have a riposte animation, so I assumed that my normal parrying strategy for her would be an absolute nightmare. But I thought I'd give it a try, and oh my god is it fun. By taking away those seconds of respite that you get from the normal riposte animation, you take all of the downtime out of the fight. Fighting Malenia with Carian Slicer suddenly transforms the fight from the normal stop-start fight that you get with the standard weapon into fighting Sword Saint Ishin in a dress. It's incredibly fun. While I was testing this out, I actually managed to get a no-hit phase 1 with the buckler and slicer, and it might have been the single most satisfying fight I've had in Elden Ring. You can find all the info that you need for this fight in my Malenia parry guide. However, as much as I'd recommend you try fighting her this way, it is pretty tough, and not really in keeping with the path of least resistance strategies we've used for the rest of the game. So let's try a far easier approach. At the Grace, equip the Staff of Loss in your right hand and memorise the Night Comet spell that we picked up right at the very start of the game. The strat for Malenia is simple. Keep your distance and cast Night Comet. In phase 1, the only attack you need to worry about is Waterfowl. You'll be out of range for the first 2 flurries, so just dodge the last 3 with 3 back-to-back rolls, 1 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Phase 2, you have to be a little bit more careful. Use the flower attack to spam Night Comet, and switch to your Bloodhound Step Dagger to avoid the clone attack. You can also use the patch 1.06 light rolls backwards to achieve the same result. And that's it. How to destroy every boss in Elden Ring using sorceries. If you've made it this far and have actually used this build, please let me know how you got on in the comments. If you'd like to see more build guides like this, subscribe to my channel. As always, thanks for watching. See you soon.